What's up, guys? We are back with Week 4 NFL Sunday action. Let's dive in, break down all these games, and see if we can find some more value after going 5-1 on Sunday in Week 3. If you want to win all of your bets this weekend, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in here every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate all the support from all of you. Seeing that badge next to your comments absolutely warms my heart. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. This is one of the best times of the year to be in the mix with so many sports going on. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up, and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox, and to track our new $100,000 to $10,000 challenge, which is going on right now. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, the New Orleans Saints going on the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints come into this game fresh off of their first loss of the season, guys. They lost 15-12 against the Philadelphia Eagles last week, and it was a bit of a tough game. Obviously, the Saints came out of that one a little bit banged up, and just not a game where it felt like they could get going. They've had a historically good start to their season. I mean, scoring tons of points, but held to only 12 last week. Part of the blame for that has to go at the feet of Derek Carr, who did not have his best game. He did suffer a groin injury, so we're going to be keeping track very, very closely of his availability. It appears he's not even going to be on the injury report for this one, so we'll see. Apparently, everything's A-okay with him, but yeah, guys, definitely want to monitor that, going into the game. We also saw Kamara come out of that game a little bit banged up. He did produce over 120 yards of offense in that game, so very, very good stuff there, but he comes into this one still with a questionable designation with that, hip/rib injury, and a little bit sketchy there. I do pretty much expect to see him play after being, he's practicing but limited in practice, so I think we'll see Kamara out there, but definitely something you have to keep an eye on coming into this game. And another key injury for the Saints coming into this one is going to be, just looking at their offensive line in general. They're all pro safety, going to be out for this game, so that's obviously not great. Going to affect, obviously, the pass, protection, and it's going to affect the running game, so definitely not an offense that's going to be at full strength for this game. But that being said, I think they're a fairly deep team. I think they are capable of taking some losses here, but a little bit worried. In terms of their defense, the Saints did not have a terrible day, and they come in almost healthy on defense. We do see Demario Davis is going to be out for this game, but against the Eagles, they did some good stuff. The problem was they really did not have an answer there for Saquon Barkley, so that's a big concern. You're giving up 147 yards. They gave 165-yard run, so that was the main problem there. But generally speaking, not super happy with how they looked against the run last week. They were good against Jalen Hurts in the passing game, so at least that's something. But this was an Eagles team that didn't have their best wide receiver out there. So all in all, a little bit concerned about the Saints coming into this game, as they're clearly a bit banged up. But we'll see what they can do here going against the Falcons here in this NFC South showdown. The Falcons have not gotten off to the smoothest start to their season. They lost game 1 against Pittsburgh. That was a really, really rough one. They did not look like themselves, and Kirk Cousins looked completely immobile. They followed that up with a narrow 22-21 win over the Eagles in week 2. And then last week, guys, they probably should have actually won that game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Definitely some questionable calls there down the stretch. They lost that one 22-17. We'll see if they can bounce back in this game. We've been seeing, encouraging signs from Kirk Cousins. He did get picked off once last week. The major problem for the Falcons last week, though, was their inability to run the ball. I mean, just a rough time out there. Robinson, Algier, neither one of them really had a great time. They are going to need to get going here, and going against a defense that got gouged by Saquon last week, definitely they have to have some confidence coming into this one. So we'll see how that works. Cousins been doing a good job of getting the ball, out to the wide receivers. Not crazy numbers, obviously, but he only got sacked twice last week against the Chiefs, so definitely some positives to build on here for the Falcons. They come into this game, I'm not going to say fully healthy necessarily, but I think they're looking a bit better than the Saints. Obviously, missing Caleb McRae there on the offensive line isn't ideal, but the defense is fully healthy coming into this one, and that's a big plus. So looking at some numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Falcons at -3 right now. We've got an over-under of 41.5. New Orleans is 2-1 against the spread and 2-1 to the over this season. Atlanta is 1-2 2-2 against the spread and 3-1 to the under this year. So gonna have to take that into account. Obviously, with the Falcons being a little bit banged up, that's a bit of a concern. Guys, home division favorites are 45% against the spread since 2015. Short home division favorites of 3 or less are 41% since 2020. So yeah, guys, pretty much looking like at anything under 3 we love Atlanta, but right here at 3 I think I'm going to be siding here just slightly with Atlanta. This isn't the biggest of leans. I think the Falcons are in an okay spot here against the banged up Saints, but this is a bit of a tough game. I think it's going to be very, very close. This probably needs to be under a field goal for me to be super, super happy about it. In terms of the over-under here, I think there's plenty of reason to take the under with both teams being banged up, and definitely keep an eye there on Kamara. If he is out for this game, I think the under is an excellent, excellent play. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Los Angeles Rams going on the road to take on the Chicago Bears. The Rams come into this game fresh off of a miraculous Week 3 win, guys. Everything absolutely fell into place for them over the last 5 minutes of their game against the San Francisco 49ers. They won that game 27-24, so pretty much a miracle win there. A nice bounce back for them after getting obliterated by Arizona in Week 2 and having a tough loss against the Lions in Week 1. This Rams team is extremely banged up for this game like they were against San Francisco, so we'll take a quick dive into the stats here in that game against San Francisco, see what really was the impetus behind this win. Obviously, the running game looked good out there. That was nice, but Matthew Stafford stepped up in a big way. 221 yards passing, a touchdown, 3 sacks, but 0 interceptions. Did not turn the ball over in that game. The Rams as a team did not turn the ball over, so that's a very big deal. And we saw some signs of life there from the wide receiver group. Obviously, any wide receiver group that is missing their best 2 wide receivers is going to be a little bit rough out there, and we really don't have any reason to think Kupp or Puka Nacua are going to be back for this game. But we'll run down that injury report here in just a second. But on defense, it was good to see the Rams do some positive things as well. They did struggle against the run. They even let Brock Purdy put up 41 yards there running the ball himself, and he passed for 3 touchdowns and nearly 300 yards in that game. So really not a great game there for the Rams on defense. But they're going to be taking on a Chicago Bears team this week, so that is quite the difference to go from taking on the 49ers to taking on the Chicago Bears. We'll see what the Rams can do here. Obviously, still going to be missing Kupp, still going to be missing Puka Nacua for this game, so that's not great. Other than that, the offense and the offensive line are healthy, so that's a positive. And the Rams defense, not the greatest defense out there, comes into this game completely healthy. So yeah, they had that perfect end game to beat the decimated 49ers. They made it happen. A little bit of luck there for sure. But yeah, the Rams secondary not looking too hot. So we'll see what they can do against the Chicago Bears, who took the 21-16 loss at the Colts last week, losing 2 road games in a row. Now they get to go back home to face the Rams. They did get that Week 1 win over Tennessee, but with how bad the Titans are looking, maybe not the best win out there. I would say the Bears are maybe a little bit beat up, not nearly as beat up as the Rams are. The Bears pass rush should be in good shape against this banged up, this Rams offensive line, not full of starters out there, even though they've got a healthy offensive line now, but it's not the guys they were hoping to have out there. So the question will be, what are we gonna get from Caleb Williams? And last week against the Colts, guys, it was a bit up and down, not gonna lie. They asked him to do way too much, in my opinion, passing the ball 52 times, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks in that game. He did pass for 363 yards, so that's cool, but man, you are asking for a lot from a very young quarterback, and he's going to make some mistakes. We did see the Bears struggle a little bit in run defense last week, so that could be a bit of a concern, but that secondary continues to look very, very good. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Bears at -3 at home. We've got an over-under of 40.5 in this one. The trends for this one, the Rams are 1-2 against the spread, 2-1 to the over this season, and the Bears are 1-1 against the spread and 3-0 to the over this year. Guys, I'm looking at a couple different things for this game. First of all, I think the Rams and the points is very, very reasonable. I'm not sure if this will go in the pinned comment necessarily, but I do think it's a decent spot for them. I also think you might want to take a look at over 40.5 in this game. I think once again we're going to see, these teams are going to put up some offense. 40.5, not that many points. I do worry a little bit about the Bears offense putting up enough points to get there, but, they're not going against the best defense out there. So, yeah, go ahead and give me the over in this one and maybe a little bit of a lean towards the Rams there getting that field goal. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Vikings going on the road to take on the Green Bay Packers in a game that could be very, very important down the stretch there in the NFC North. The Vikings come into this game still undefeated on the season, 3-0. They destroyed the Texans last week. It wasn't even a competitive game. Very, very good stuff here from the Vikings start of this season. I mean, wins over the Giants, the 49ers, and the Texans. a solid start, no doubt about it. We once again saw very good stuff from Sam Darnold. He had one of his best games. I mean, he's healthy, so that's nice. That there were some concerns coming into the the week off after the win, but yeah, it turned out it was just a bone bruise, so he's totally fine. Guys, Sam Darnold, 4 touchdown passes last week. Not a ton of yards, but he did get sacked 4 times. That's a little bit of a concern. But Aaron Jones, once again, looking very, very good in the running game. 102 yards on only 19 carries. Great stuff out there. He got 5 passes for 46 yards and a touchdown. So excellent stuff out there. Justin Jefferson got another touchdown pass. Like, very, very good stuff there. And how well the offense looks pales in comparison to how good the defense looked last week, guys. They had CJ Stroud in that very, very high-powered offense from the Texans, absolutely in shambles. Stroud got sacked 4 times, picked off twice. Just excellent stuff in this Vikings defense. Those exotic blitz packages they keep running are definitely working out. They have made both Purdy and Stroud look very, very confused out there a lot. So yeah, Brian Flores doing a fantastic job out there with that Vikings defense. Really very few notes for me here about Minnesota. This team is absolutely just rolling right now. So they come into this game looking pretty healthy too. They might be missing one guy on defense, but the offense is fully healthy. This is a good sign for Vikings and their fans heading into this game here against the Packers. Looks like we're expecting to see Jordan Love back for this game against the Packers, which may be a little bit concerning. Should be a tough spot for him. The Vikings are going to make him test that leg out. You're coming back from a knee injury. It was supposed to be an injury that he would be off for 4 weeks. He's coming back after only 3. Seems like a pretty aggressive plan there by the Packers. They did win last week without Love. I mean, a 30-14 win over Tennessee is nice, but the Titans, guys, not a very good team. We saw the Packers just, run the ball and look very, very good in the ground game to get that win. And Malik Willis did what he needed to do out there. Didn't turn the ball over, so that was nice. But yeah, we're not going to have him this week. We are going to be seeing Love out there. So going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if the defense looks anything similar to the team that dominated the Titans last week. But this is a whole different deal, guys. So yeah, the Packers gonna need to play really, really well in this matchup, despite getting to play at home. We'll see what happens out there, guys. We are looking at the over-under primarily for this game, as we have a lean against the spread on this one over at stumpthespread.com. Guys, in terms of the over-under, we've got Minnesota. They are 3-0 to the under this season so far. The Packers are 2-1 to the over this season. Guys, the over, which is only 43.5, pretty small number. The over is 5-1 in the Packers' last 6 games as favorites against the Vikings, and the over is 3-1 in the last 4 games between NFC North teams. I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this game. At least, I think both sides will be able to move the ball a decent amount and score a decent amount. There will be a good amount of running the ball in this game, but I don't think that's going to slow it down too much, guys. Give me over 43.5 in this one. That is definitely going in the pinned comment. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NCAA football and NFL videos. Now guys, back to the games. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road to take on the Indianapolis Colts. The Steelers come into this game 3-0 on the season. They've gotten off to a very good start, albeit against some pretty weak competition, beating Atlanta in week 1, at Denver in week 2, 13-6, so a pretty low scoring game, but they did come with the win, and then a 20-10 win over the Chargers last week against a very hobbled Herbert. So we'll see what they can do this week. Obviously, they have to be pretty excited with what they've seen from Fields so far this season. He's been avoiding major mistakes, although he did get picked off once last week, so definitely a mistake to clean up coming into this one. But yeah, 245 passing yards, solid stuff. He didn't have to run the ball too much, but he did run for a touchdown. We saw good stuff from Najee Harris. A little bit concerning that his backup Jaylen Warren is going to be out for this game, but hopefully the idea is that they wouldn't have needed him for more than 3 or 4 carries in that game anyway. But guys, that's enough about the offense there for the Steelers. The real story for this team has been that defense that's been absolutely dominant. They only gave up 125 passing yards to Herbert last week. Very very, very good stuff. They generated 5 total sacks in that game, so elite there as well. They limited the running game. They limited the passing game. They forced turnovers. Like, there's not too much more you can ask from this defense. They have been absolutely insane so far this season. So I continue to expect good things from this Steelers defense, no doubt about it. In terms of health for this team coming into this game, they are going to be missing one offensive lineman, so that's a little bit of a concern. And we do see Alex Highsmith likely to be out for this game there on defense, but overall, this team looking pretty healthy coming into this one. So we'll see what they can do going up against the Colts, who are not having the start to their season they imagined. They did get the win last week over the Bears, 21-16, but losing a nail biter in week 1 against Houston, then losing at Green Bay in week 2. Not really the script that the Colts were hoping for, and yeah, just a little bit tough out there. Last week against the Bears, we did see some good things. Anthony Richardson got picked off twice, though, so that's a pretty big concern. And yeah, we're seeing maybe, I don't want to say a lack of development, but the guy makes some insane throws, and then he makes some throws that just seem insanely dumb. Like, just don't make that throw. But you're going to have that. He's a very young guy. The running game, at least, looked very, very good last week against the Bears. Jonathan Taylor, 23 carries, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very good stuff there. Yeah, the passing game didn't really get me too jazzed up. They did a good job taking care of the ball outside of Anthony Richardson, so that's something positive. But really, we have to look at the defense doing a very good job last week. They picked Caleb Williams off twice, sacked him 4 times. They held the Bears' running game completely in check, so that'll be something they'll definitely be trying to replicate here against the Steelers. Will they be able to do it? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the Steelers, a team that's had a lot more success this season than the Chicago Bears have. The Colts come into this game looking kind of questionable here. We've got 2 offensive linemen that are questionable for this game, so that could be a bit of a problem. The defense is also a little bit banged up. They're for sure going to be missing at least 2 starters off of this defense, 1 in the secondary and 1 on the defensive line, so that's not great. And they could end up with 2 starting defensive linemen out for this game, so definitely some injury situations to be monitoring there leading up to game time for the Colts. But looking at the numbers for this game, guys, once again, we're going to be concentrating on the over-under in this one. And the Steelers, they're 3-0 to the under this season. The Colts are 2-1 to the under this year. This is a very, very niche stat, guys, that I dug up. Very, very niche. But we do see that the under is 13-1 over the last 14 games the Steelers have played as road favorites after when they're coming off of a win. So that, in addition to the fact that both teams are going to want to run the ball and keep the ball out of the hands of their questionable starting quarterbacks, both teams are very good on defense, guys. I think under 40 is very, very reasonable in this game. It's got a definite chance to end up in the pinned comment here. Maybe not for sure. Definitely check down there and make sure that it ends up in. But I do think we're going to see offense be at an absolute premium in this game between 2 teams that are going to want to run the ball and not going to want to pass. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Denver Broncos going on the road here to take on the New York Jets. The Broncos come into this game fresh off of their first win of the season. They got a great win there at Tampa Bay, winning 26-7. They were catching the Buccaneers very banged up, but we saw Denver for sure play their best game of the year. They did play a close one in week 1 against Seattle, and they lost 13-6 in week 2 against Pittsburgh in a game that Pittsburgh really dominated defensively. But last week against Tampa Bay, we finally started to see some of the some of the promise that was supposed to exist on this Denver roster. Bo Nix had a very good game. No interceptions in that one. Completed 25 of 36 passes. And maybe most importantly, he didn't get sacked in that game. So very, very good stuff there. He was extremely effective running the ball. He ran for a touchdown and 47 yards. We saw Tyler Batty also run for 9 carries and 70 yards himself. So the ground game was very much there for Denver in that one. The passing game looked good as well. They did turn the ball over once, but not a bad game for them in terms of turnovers either. So very, very good stuff to report for that Denver offense. And the defense also had a banner day, guys. 7 times they sacked Baker Mayfield. Obviously, that Tampa Bay offensive line was pretty devastated out there in terms of injuries, but a great job against Mayfield, a reasonable job against the running game. Maybe not elite, but I'll say reasonable against the running game. And generally speaking, you just have to be very, very happy for this team to see them play well, finally have a good game out there, and come through as big underdogs. That's nice as well. But can they replicate that here going up against the New York Jets? That's going to be a little bit tougher of an assignment here, because the Jets come into this game winners of 2 in a row. They got that win against Tennessee in week 2, and they blew out the Patriots there on Thursday Night Football 24-3. So very, very good stuff there. They've got a rest advantage coming into this game. We saw Aaron Rodgers look great in the win, passing for 281 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked twice, but generally speaking, a very, very good day for him. We saw the running game really get online there for the Jets. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen combined for over 100 rushing yards on 27 carries, so good stuff there, and Hall found his way into the end zone, so all good there. And yeah, Lazard had another touchdown pass. Conklin looked good out there. Garrett Wilson really not quite getting online yet, but he did come away with a touchdown pass. So all those Garrett Wilson touchdown bettors, you can be happy about that. But generally speaking, very good stuff from the Jets offensively and good stuff on defense as well. They allowed Jacoby Brissett under 100 passing yards, which obviously that's, that wasn't really the Patriots playing in that game, but we also saw them look good against the run. So lots and lots of positive stuff to look at for the Jets as they come here into this week 4 matchup. And yeah, they've got to be feeling pretty decent. They're 1 game back of the Bills in the AFC East. Obviously that's going to be a little bit tough to be, catching the Bills, but hey, that's probably their goal here. They come into this game relatively healthy. Morgan Moses is probably going to be out there on the offensive line, so that's not great, but only missing 1 offensive lineman, I don't think, and it's the right tackle. I don't think that's the end of the world. Their defense comes into this game pretty much fully healthy, and that's a big deal. They're going to be looking to have a good game here against a very young starting quarterback who is riding high and, to be honest, probably in a bit of a letdown spot. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Jets at -7.5. It would be awfully nice if that would have went down to 7, but it looks like it's going up more towards 8, so we could end up with -8 here. Denver, they've been a pretty lucky team this season, but underdogs of 6 or more have been incredible this year, and yeah, just a lot of very positive stuff for underdogs coming into this week. This does look like a pretty good matchup for the Jets on offense and on defense. Up front, the Jets are very strong. The Broncos are in a major letdown spot, so have to be looking at that. Denver, they're 2-1 against the spread this year and 2-1 to the under. The Jets are 2-1 against the spread as well and 1-1 to the over-under this season. So guys, with the Jets going up to -8, it is a little bit scary, but that's the side that I like the most in this one. I wish we could have got it down at 7. Maybe we should have jumped on this earlier in the week, but can't really put these videos out quite that early. We wouldn't have any of the injury news for you in any sort of complete way, but go ahead and give me the Jets at -7.5 or -8, whatever you can find out there. I think they're going to win this game comfortably against a Broncos team that's in a major letdown spot. Also, guys, if you wanted to take a look at the over-under here, I do think there's some benefit in looking at under. I really don't think we're going to see Denver score hardly at all in this game. So anybody out there with the Jets defense on their fantasy roster, definitely a good thing there. But give me the Jets to get the win and cover in this one. I think they are going to dominate this game. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles got a very gutsy win last week at New Orleans, winning 15-12. This Eagles team comes into this one super banged up. It was a rough and tumble game last week, and just not the greatest look there for Jalen Hurts, who had a really rough time passing the ball. He did pass for over 300 yards, but got picked off once, sacked 4 times. He didn't look that great running the ball, and he just looked a little lost out there. Although, when you're without now 2 at least of your best wide receivers, things are going to get pretty rough. The real engine behind the win here for the Eagles, and really behind most of their success this season, was Saquon Barkley, who rushed for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 65-yard scamper. So very good stuff from him, and he's continuing to be active there in the passing game as well. So great stuff from Saquon, and very good stuff from that Eagles defense. Kind of out of the blue there, slowing down that red-hot Saints offense. Derek Carr got a little bit banged up in that game, but really, guys, they did a good job of limiting Kamara, limiting the passing game. They just did a great job across the board. Only 1 sack in that game, 1 interception, but still, that was enough to hold the Saints to only 12 points. So very good stuff there for the Eagles offense, but they come into this game super banged up, and they're playing back-to-back road games, so that's a bit tough, and it's kind of a big letdown spot for them after that emotional win. They have a bye coming up after this week, so that'll be interesting, and they might end up resting a lot of these guys that are, like questionable, letting them sit out this game, then the off week, so they get a full, as long off as they could possibly have. But right now, guys, we've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith both out for this game. We've got Lane Johnson questionable there on the offensive line, and the defense, they're not as banged up, but it's not like that defense has been amazing this season, although they were very good last week, so we'll see what happens to them in this game going up against the Buccaneers, who come into this game fresh off of a very disappointing performance there against Denver last week, guys, losing 26-7. Not great. But week 1, they looked good against Washington. Week 2, they got that win at Detroit, but week 3 against Denver, not so much. So we'll see what they look like here getting to play at home again against the Eagles. A lot of questions for this team, in terms of the injury report, guys. We've got Rachaad White. He's questionable. Jalen McKillen, he is doubtful for this game. And yeah, we've got one guy on the offensive line that is marked as very likely to be out for this game. And the defense is banged up as well. So a lot of rough stuff for the Buccaneers coming into this game. They are far from a healthy team. And yeah, guys, I mean, health matters a lot in these spots. Health matters a lot in the NFL just coming down the stretch here. Last week, we did not see much to be happy about from Tampa Bay. I mean, Baker Mayfield had a rough game, although he was running for his life the whole time. It felt like he got sacked 7 times. The running game looked good, so that could be helpful, but generally speaking, guys, this is a very, very tough spot, to be in terms of health for the Buccaneers, but also for the Eagles. So this is going to be a pretty interesting game. And looking at the numbers, guys, the Buccaneers are plus 1.5. We've got an over/under of 42.5 in this game. The Eagles are 2-1 against the spread this season. We see Tampa Bay is 2-1 against the spread themselves, and both of these teams are 2-1 to the under. And in terms of the side in this game, guys, I'm actually siding slightly towards Tampa Bay in this spot. It just feels like a bad spot here for the Eagles going on the road, but that's not my favorite lean in this game. I think my favorite lean is actually going to be on the under 42.5. I think we'll see offense be at a premium in this one. Yeah, with both teams being banged up, I mean, how many points are the Eagles really going to put up when Saquon Barkley is really their only offensive option left? And the Buccaneers are also very banged up, so go ahead and give me under 42.5 in this one, and maybe the smallest of small leans towards the Buccaneers. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals going on the road to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Bengals come into this game still somehow looking for their first win of the season, despite not punting the ball in their last game in that loss against Washington. Very, very good stuff from Joe Burrow in that game, but just couldn't come away with the win. They got super unlucky to lose their Week 2 game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and yeah, things are looking pretty bleak right now for the Bengals. Like I said, guys, Burrow looked great last week. 29 of 38 passes, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game. He got sacked only twice. We saw the running game look good as well. Like, the offense was not the problem for the Bengals last week. They were doing everything they needed to do, moving the ball up and down the field, but the defense just did not have any answers there for Jaden Daniels, and the dynamic, passing, running, it was a very good, very, very good game there from the Commanders. So we'll see what the defense can do, and we'll see if the Bengals can replicate that performance that they had on offense this week going up against the Panthers, which I think should be a bit easier of an opponent here. Carolina comes into this game fresh off of a win of their own. They won 36-22 in their first game this season under Andy Dalton. Things worked out pretty well in that one. I mean, Dalton did his thing out there. We were very happy to be on the Panthers and the points in that game, but Dalton, 3 passing touchdowns, 319 yards, and 2 sacks in that game. So yeah, only getting sacked twice, pretty good stuff. We see that this Panthers offensive line is very, very good. So yeah, no problems there. And the running game looked good. Chuba Hubbard looked very, very good out there. And yeah, just an all-around great performance by the Panthers, albeit against a Raiders team that looked very, very disjointed, especially on offense. So it was actually decent to see the Panthers have a good, a fairly good defensive game. Not the best defensive team, obviously no major news there, but we'll see what they can do coming into this one. Going up against a very, very desperate Cincinnati team. The Panthers are kind of banged up coming into this one. They're going to be missing at least one offensive lineman. Deontay Johnson is questionable for this game. Adam Thielen's now on the IR, so he won't be out there. The pass catching options are getting a little bit limited there for Andy Dalton, and even that, elite offensive line might be a little bit less elite, missing some guys, and we've got at least 2 guys likely out there for the defense for the Panthers, which is going to make that already questionable unit quite a bit worse. So yeah, guys, looking at this one, looking at the numbers, the Panthers are plus 4.5. We've got an over-under of 47.5 in this game. Seems like a pretty classic buy low spot for the Bengals. A little bit worried about the Cincinnati defense for sure, but Burrow was great last week. Should we probably be fading Andy Dalton here after looking so good a week ago? I mean, the Carolina offensive line is supposed to be elite, but they're missing guys. Thielen being out is not good, and the Panthers defense is really, really bad. So looking at the trends here, both teams are 1-2 against the spread this season, and both teams are 2-1 to the over this year. So guys, I'm going to be leaning towards the Bengals at minus 4.5 in this one. I think this is a very good get right spot for the Bengals here. They're a better team than Carolina. I don't think we're going to see the Cincinnati defense be elite, but I think they'll be good enough that this offense can carry them to a win by at least a touchdown here. And guys, in terms of the over under, I wouldn't blame you at all for taking over 47.5 in this game. I don't like either one of these defenses, so I think the offenses are going to be able to move the ball. I think we're going to see a good amount of points in this game, with the Bengals eventually winning by probably close to a touchdown. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road to take on the Houston Texans. The Jaguars let us down majorly there, guys. Their last game losing 47-10 at Buffalo. Rough stuff there. Pretty embarrassing. We see Trevor Lawrence continue to be terrible, and this team still looking for their first win. And guys, I think it might be a while until they get it because things are absolutely off the rails there for Jacksonville. Last week, Lawrence was embarrassing. 21 of 38, 178 yards. He got sacked 4 times, picked off once. He did pass for 1 touchdown, so I guess congratulations, but that contract that he signed in the offseason is looking like an absolute travesty. The running game looked good in the few attempts they got, but they were down so much so quick they really couldn't focus on the running game. They got absolutely destroyed on defense. This defense is looking real bad. They had no answer for Josh Allen or the running game or the passing game. Like, it was just rough stuff out there, and the Jaguars have not looked good this season. I mean, they lost to Miami by 3. Okay, that one can kind of be excused. It was a game they should have won. They found a way to lose it. Then they lost to Cleveland in week 2. Cleveland's looking like one of the worst teams in the NFL right now, if you ask me, especially with Watson out there, and then getting destroyed last week by the Bills. So yeah, not in love with what we're seeing from the Jaguars right now at all. And even coming into this game, they're not fully healthy on offense. We're going to see Ingram missing this game. We're going to see Gabe Davis possibly miss this game, and they've got a couple guys marked as questionable in the defense as well. So not a healthy team, and they're taking on the Houston Texans, who are 2-1 coming into this game, fresh off of a blowout loss at the hands of the Vikings last week. Not what the Texans were looking for this season. They got a very narrow win over the Colts in week 1. They got a pretty narrow win over Chicago in week 2. 2 games that, coming into the season would have been projected to just be walkover wins for the Texans were not quite so easy. So in that loss against Minnesota, CJ Stroud looked lost out there. Very rough stuff. Did not know how to handle all of those exotic blitzes that the Vikings were throwing at him, and yeah, just did not have a good game. The running game couldn't really get off the ground either, just given they were down so bad. So we'll see if they've got a bounce back in them coming into this week, and I think there's definitely a good chance that they do, honestly. I mean, they do come into this game a little bit banged up. Mixon is questionable for this game. It looks like Nico Collins is going to be fine. He's definitely going to play, but yeah, missing Joe Mixon could be a big deal. He did not practice on Friday, so that does not bode well for his availability. If I had to guess, I would guess he's going to be out, and even if he plays, obviously having a bum ankle as a running back is not great. So this is not really going to be a full strength Texans team, and the defense hasn't looked that great, but let's take into account who they're about to face in this game, guys. The trends do point towards Jacksonville in this one, but Lawrence is looking so bad. Yeah, this team has great weapons, but Lawrence just can't get the ball to him, and their secondary is 27th in the National Football League in opponents' yards per pass attempt. That's a big concern. The eye test definitely has me looking towards the Texans. Big home divisional favorites, not really what you want to be betting on, and the public is going to be big here on the Texans, but guys, I can't stay away from them. They're 0-2-1 against the spread this season, so they're due for an against the spread win. We do have both teams showing trends towards the under here, but I'm not really interested in that under 44.5. I'm definitely interested in taking the Texans here at -6. If we can still find -6 out there, -6.5 also wouldn't be a problem, but it looks like you can even find some -5.5, so we're going to jump on that right now, guys. Give me the Houston Texans at -5.5 in this game. I think they find a way to get the job done here against a Jaguars team that is looking like an absolute train wreck. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Washington Commanders going on the road to take on the Arizona Cardinals. The Commanders come into this game fresh off of that crazy 38-33 win there at Cincinnati. They're riding high. Saw amazing stuff from Jaden Daniels in that win, and we saw some decent stuff from him against the Giants there in week 2. People are getting really excited about this young quarterback, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely exciting to see all the things he could do against that Bengals defense last week, but could be a little bit different situation going up against the Cardinals, but we'll have to wait and see. Definitely a dynamic young player. It's been impressive to see him stay healthy this long with his style of play, so major credit to him. He completed 21 of 23 passes last week, so very good stuff there against a weak Bengals defense. We'll see what they can do here going up against the Cardinals in terms of health coming into this game, guys. We see the entire offense looking pretty healthy. That's a good sign. They're going to be missing one defensive end, so that's a problem. A little bit could hurt the pass rush a bit, and you're going to need guys out there to contain this dynamic Arizona offense. The Cardinals come into this game. They lost last week against Detroit. They got screwed over pretty bad on that completely blown call there on that delay of game that was not actually delay of game. So that's pretty disheartening. They definitely should have had a chance in that game, and I guess they did down the stretch, honestly. I mean, eventually losing 20-13. What really stood out for me in that loss, guys, was how good the Cardinals defense looked, especially there in the second half, giving up 0 points. They did struggle a bit against the run, which obviously could be something of concern going against a Washington team that has a mobile quarterback. But guys, I'm not super worried about that. Kyler Murray looked very good out there in the running game and the passing game. He did get picked off once, so that's not ideal. And we didn't see amazing stuff from them in the running game, but they were going against one of the most dominant front four teams. Like, just the Lions are a team that's dominant in the trenches. So definitely going to be facing a much weaker defense in this game. The Cardinals come into this one. In terms of health, I would say they're pretty okay, generally speaking. I mean, Trey McBride's going to be out for this game. That's not ideal, but they should be relatively healthy there on the offensive line, which is nice. And that defense that had such a great game last week comes into this one fully healthy. So looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we've got the Cardinals at -3.5. We've got an over-under of 49 out there. We're going to be looking more at the over-under here, and we see both teams showing some trends here towards the over. Washington 2-1 to the over this season. Arizona 2-1 to the over themselves. The over is actually 7-0 in the last 7 games that Arizona has played at home, coming off of a loss. Guys, we're going to go ahead and ride with the over. I know 49 is a lot of points, but that's where this number has pretty much stabilized at, and I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this one. It's not going to be going into the pinned comment. I do have a premium play on the side in this game over at stumpthespread.com, so we're going to be leaning here in our YouTube pick towards this over. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New England Patriots going on the road to take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Patriots come into this game fresh off of back-to-back losses. They got absolutely dismantled by the Jets last week. Pretty embarrassing stuff there. Obviously, this Patriots team not really designed to be competitive this year. We did see, a brief glimpse there of the quarterback situation, maybe showing signs of change. We saw Drake May get in the game. He didn't look amazing in very limited action, but he didn't look any worse than Jacoby Brissett looked in that game. And the real problem was the Patriots could not get the running game going there, obviously going against a team that definitely had them overmatched in the Jets. So not really going to be expecting miracles here from the Patriots. Throughout the season, I don't think they're going to be a very good team. They could end up being one of the worst teams in the National Football League. Their offensive line's a little bit banged up coming into this game, which could hurt the the running game. And we also see they're missing a couple guys, or could be missing a couple guys on defense. Technically questionable, but we'll see. I think they'll be pretty conservative with injuries this season, since they're probably effectively a tanking team. They're going up against the San Francisco 49ers, who really let one get away last week, losing 27-24 at the Rams. Really, that last 5 minutes has to feel like a nightmare there for the 49ers, who come into this game very banged up themselves. Deebo Samuel is technically questionable for this game. Trent Williams is also questionable, so those are a couple big problem guys to be missing there. George Kittle being back, definitely nice. We'll see. I would assume they'll be relatively conservative this early in the season with Deebo Samuel dealing with that calf injury, but we really don't have significant clarity on whether or not he's going to be out there for this game. Trent Williams with a toe issue, it seems like he's trending towards probably playing in this game, but yeah, not the best spot. They're also they only have 2 guys questionable there on defense, so I think the defense is going to be at least close to full strength, and we have to be very excited with what we've seen from Brock Purdy lately. But all that being said, guys, looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the 49ers at -10.5. We have an over-under in this game of 40.5. So, yeah, some pretty big numbers being thrown around out there, guys. And we have some significant trends to take a look at here. Underdogs of 6 or more in 2024 are 14-2 against the spread this season. And underdogs of 7 or more, which would, qualify here for the Patriots, are actually 4-0 straight up this season. Now, are we due for some regression to the mean in those numbers? I would say absolutely yes. But the 49ers are only 1-2 against the spread this season. They're 2-1 to the over. I don't think this is a great over spot. I do think we want to be on the Patriots at 10.5 here. We're definitely going to be fading the public a bit, but I think they can keep this game at least semi-close here against a very banged up 49ers team. But is this going in the pinned comment, guys? I would say no. And in terms of that over-under, I'm going to shade here slightly towards the under, since I am leaning towards the Patriots, but neither one of those plays are going in the pinned comment for me. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Browns going on the road to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Browns come into this game fresh off a very frustrating performance there against the Giants. Losing that game at 21-15 cannot feel good. We once again saw Deshaun Watson have not a very good time out there, and it could be even worse for him in this one. He did pass for 2 touchdowns. That's great, but he got sacked 8 times in the game. Very rough stuff there. Wasn't super effective in the running game. Kind of seems like he's past that part of his career. Not going to be able to run the ball well. Just not looking like it anymore, guys. And the offensive line continues to get more and more banged up as he holds onto the ball for longer and longer. And I would have to guess he's going to get benched at some point this season. We'll see what happens when they end up with Jameis Winston out there, but no reason to think that's going to be happening in this game. And the offensive line, guys, they're down to only one of their original starters. That is insane to see the offensive line that banged up. So not a lot of positives for the Browns there on offense. On defense, they struggled a little bit against the pass and a little bit against the run, but only giving up 21 points doesn't look terrible. But when that was against the Giants, that's maybe not the best look. And they they generated 2 fumbles in that game. Not necessarily something you can count on to happen all the time. So yeah, a decent performance from the Browns, even in a loss there. Their only win this season was at Jacksonville, a team that's looking terrible. So we'll see if they've got anything in the tank for this one. Not a team that I am super excited about, especially given how banged up they are coming into this one. That offensive line absolutely decimated to this point. The defense is looking healthy though, but what can we expect really from Myles Garrett at this point when he's dealing with those weird foot issues? So if this team continues to struggle, I do think we'll see him, probably just drop out of the rest of the season and go ahead and get that surgery done. But we'll see what they can do here against Las Vegas, a team that had a nightmare performance last week, losing 36-22 against the Carolina Panthers. We had Antonio Pierce calling out apparently Devontae Adams, but maybe the whole team for, packing it in, not trying their hardest in that game. Very, very rough stuff. Kind of looking like a mess right now. The front of this defense can be very, very good though, and we'll see what they can do in this game. Didn't get a whole lot done last week against that very solid Panthers offensive line. Gardner Minshew got benched in the game. I think we're very likely to see him back out there, but I don't think it matters that much if we see him or Aiden O'Connell out there under center. I think both of those dudes are fine. Neither one of them is elite necessarily. The running game didn't really get going, something they would be hoping to establish here against Cleveland, but we'll see if they can make that happen. Definitely a big bounce back spot here for the Raiders. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got an over-under of 36.5, and we've got both teams. We've got teams showing mixed trends here, but 36.5 is a very, very small number. I do think both of these teams will be able to move the ball here to some extent, and I don't really have a huge lean on this one in terms of the total, but guys, I'm going to be leaning here a bit towards the over. I think we'll see some offense go up in this game, and in terms of the side, unfortunately, can't give that one out. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, 2 games left. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs going on the road to take on the LA Chargers. The Chiefs come into this game 3-0 on the season, but man, it feels like the sketchiest 3-0 I've ever seen. Last week, they got the 22-17 win over the Falcons with some very, very helpful things going on for them. They found a way, though. Definitely some problems still facing this Chiefs team, though, no doubt about it. Not fully healthy coming into this game. We did see decent stuff from Mahomes, but he doesn't fully look like himself this season yet. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He didn't get sacked, so that's nice. The Chiefs running back room looking pretty devastated. Carson Steele was good last week, though. 17 carries, 72 yards. Rashee Rice looked good out there for sure. He's definitely given Mahomes another legitimate threat, but once again, saw very, very little from Travis Kelce. 4 receptions for 30 yards. Seems like they either aren't able to or are unwilling to go to him a whole bunch here in the early goings. On defense, the Chiefs looked pretty good, giving up only 17 points, but they didn't completely shut down the run or the pass in that game, so we'll see what they can do here going up against the Chargers. Definitely a different situation here for the Chargers, who are a bit banged up. It's being reported that Herbert is going to play in this game, but Bosa is going to be out, so that's concerning in terms of the defense. Last week, the Chargers weren't able to hold on at Pittsburgh. Obviously, a bit tough playing at Pittsburgh, a very, very tough opponent out there, and Herbert was clearly bothered in terms of mobility with that ankle. But another week, maybe it could get a little bit better, and he wasn't atrocious out there. 12 of 18, 125 yards and a touchdown, but he was sacked twice. But going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL, the running game got going a little bit, but not amazing. Gonna need better stuff from the run. And on defense, they did look okay. They generated a couple of they generated 1 turnover, 2 sacks. They didn't get destroyed by the running game or the passing game, but yeah, they would have hoped they could have limited Justin Fields a little bit more than they did. So looking at the Chargers injury chart here, guys, I mean, Herbert reportedly going to play. Rashad Slater out for them on the offensive line is not great. Joe Alt may be out, but I think he would probably end up playing, and the defense not going to be completely at full strength either, so definitely some question marks out there for the Chargers, guys. But looking at the numbers for this game, we've got Kansas City there 2-1 to the over. The Chargers are 3-0 to the under this season. Guys, I think both of these teams are going to be running the ball here a lot, or at least that's going to be the main focus. And yeah, even with Herbert back, running the ball is going to be the focus for the Chargers. The Chiefs are going to be wanting to run the ball as well, like they showed last week. Definitely more than willing to hand it off no matter who they've got left in the backfield there, guys. So looking at an over-under of 40, it seems like the under is very, very live to me in this spot. I think we're going to see offense be at an absolute premium in this game. And yeah, go ahead and give me the under in this one. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Sunday Night Football showdown between the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills come into this game, guys. They are 3-0 on the season. They dismantled Jacksonville last week. They've actually had a relatively easy last couple of weeks. Week 1 was a tough game. They got all they could handle from Arizona, eventually winning that game at 34-28. But a very, a good job from the Bills taking care of business here down the stretch. We've seen Josh Allen look insane so far this season. Obviously, the front runner for MVP, but we've heard this story before, in the early goings. But last week, 4 touchdown passes, elite stuff, very, very good. Didn't get picked off, nothing bad to report. The running game got going for Buffalo, and it was really just a walkover for them against Jacksonville. And it kind of feels like the Bills are a team that's yet to be tested this season. So maybe a little bit concerning there, but they do come into this game healthy on offense. The problem is on defense, guys. They're confirmed going to be missing 2 starters for this game. So yeah, not great to be missing a secondary guy and a second level guy here. Could be a bit rough as they go up against the Baltimore Ravens, a team that has had to fight pretty hard this season. It's been a little bit rough. They did get a fairly convincing win that ended up being a little bit closer down the stretch, but really the outcome was never in doubt there against Dallas last week, where they won 28-25. But a huge letdown they had there in week 2, and they could have won in week 1 at Kansas City if it wasn't for a toenail. So yeah, rough stuff for them so far this season, but we've seen great stuff from Lamar Jackson, guys. He's been incredible this year, no doubt about it. Last week against the Cowboys, passed for 182 yards. He ran for 87 yards and a touchdown. Didn't get sacked in the game. We saw Derrick Henry come alive out there, 151 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Elite stuff. The passing game looks like it's there when the Ravens need it, but man, they are more than happy to manhandle you in the ground game. The big question for this team is, how is their defense going to hold up? I mean, Baltimore, they're 28th in opponents' yards per pass attempt, so that's a concern. The defense just doesn't really feel like it has an identity yet. I do think they're going to get better as the season goes on, but a big test is coming here this week, so we'll see if they're up for it. They did sack Dak Prescott twice last week and eliminate that Dallas running game, so those are some positives. But yeah, like I said, guys, big test coming here going up against the Buffalo Bills. The Ravens, in terms of health coming into this game, it looks pretty okay out there, I'd have to say. The defensive line has a couple of guys that are a little bit banged up, but I think they'll be very close to full strength, if not at full strength. And the defense, obviously, they're going to be missing Arthur Mullet, but other than that, they're looking pretty good out there on defense in terms of health. Will they be able to slow down the Bills? That's the real question, guys. Buffalo, I feel like they're in something of a letdown spot after another blowout. Josh Allen getting a lot of hype right now. They were dominating against the Jaguars, but they're terrible. Lamar, guys, as a favorite of less than a field goal is crazy. Absolutely crazy. As a favorite of 3 or less, he is 23-7 against the spread in his career. Baltimore is 3-0 to the over this season, so that's something to think about as well. The Ravens' offense, great. Defense lacks an identity, like I said. Buffalo, they're 2-1 against the spread and 2-1 to the over this season. Baltimore's 1-2 against the spread and 3-0 to the over this year. The weather seems like it's going to be fine. That was definitely something we wanted to check on, but maybe just a little bit rainy. But with an over-under of only 46.5, guys, we've got 2 bets we really like in this game. First of all, I love that over. Take over 46.5, and I think you're going to be happy in this game. We are going to see plenty of offense out there. It does worry me that the Ravens want to run the ball so much, but I'm not too worried. I think we're going to see lots of offense in this one. And I also, guys, I like the Baltimore Ravens here at -2.5. Pretty much anything under a field goal, like I was saying, we are going to want to be backing Lamar Jackson. And yeah, it's still at 2.5. Jump on it now. It could move to 3, so jump on that as soon as you can. Both of those plays very likely to end up in the pinned comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.